All right, you guys, welcome back to another episode of the Coffee Chat podcast where we brew up amazing conversations about technology, mentorship, and entrepreneurship for our Black excellence audience. Today, I'm here with Mr. Bell. This is amazing IT professional. He's a consultant as well as a serial entrepreneur. So I'm super excited to hear about your journey and how we can empower our listeners.
Well,
Welcome to the Coffee Chat.
Thank you. Thank you.
Yes. So I always like to start the conversation with how we met, which is very recent, right? But I'll let you tell them like how we kind of brought up this opportunity.
We were at a Black Excellence Conference and we bumped into one another and started chatting and found out that we were in the same lane as far as technology and now I'm here.
Yeah, that was definitely a quick turnaround for us, right? It was really cool. We both went to the Black Tech conference, right? And we just sat in on a session and as y'all know, I'm a yapper. So I just started talking to him and he started telling me about the businesses that he was in and then also just like your journey in technology and just how you became a serial entrepreneur. And I was like, I have to get you on my podcast. I have to learn more about this. So again, thank you for saying yes. Thank you for the speed in your yes and coming to record with me before you go out the country because I would have vacation brain right now. So I appreciate it.
You're welcome. You're welcome.
Awesome. So I want to start with your journey, right? Because I know that when we originally talked, you asked, "Is this just about tech?" And I'm like, "No, I feel like all of the facets, like you're a multifaceted person, like all of the facets that you have are very inspiring. So I would love to learn where it started and then where it went for you."
Okay. I am from what I call the healthcare Mecca, which is Nashville, Tennessee. At the time, it was housing 7 of the top 10 healthcare corporations in the world, right in one county, Nashville County in Nashville. I was fortunate enough to get with one of the top 3, which was at the time Community Health Systems.
Okay.
And I started my IT career there. And it's about 32 years
32
years ago.
years in the industry. That's amazing.
So pretty much climbed the ladder.
I was going to say you were probably one of how many at that? Yeah.
Actually, it was tools.
Two.
Tools.
Two. Okay.
And yeah, he was very, very helpful.
Yeah. Awesome.
Eric Harris is his name. And
Shout out to Mr. Harris.
and we climbed the ladder. My skill set spoke for itself.
Really?
Yes.
What does that look like? So when you started in healthcare IT, where did you start? Was it just, I feel like a lot of people don't even understand the difference between like tech and IT. So where did you start?
I started as a network administrator. And kind of worked my way up from network administrator to a manager.
So does a network administrator, are they overseeing?
Entire systems network.
Okay.
It's just not at the corporate office. This was for like 163 hospitals.
100 and, wow.
Yeah, on 163 hospitals.
Oh my gosh.
So we would monitor, and if things go wrong, we could see it back at corporate and make sure make the adjustments and things of that nature. So I got it down to a science, and then I became the manager and then became the director.
Wow. Wow. So what was your title when you were executive?
I was a regional chief information officer. So
So you was the CIO. Yeah, cool.
it was regional. I was one of 4.
Okay. But I mean, for me, somebody who is in like a pre-sales role, right? That's you was a tough cookie to crack in the sales process.
Well, I just pretty no nonsense.
Yes. That's what I'm saying. I'm like, I could go in the car and I could smile at everybody. But him, he gonna be like, show me what it does. Tell me.
I was the guy that would put out an RFP on Christmas Eve and expect you to be there Christmas Day.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
Before you had to
Okay.
get the job done.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, if you're going to show up on Christmas Day, that means you
really want the opportunity. It's real.
So from there, I started to move around throughout the community because it's a very small community
Okay.
in healthcare. And I got to know some other guys and started working for HCA. And then I went over to Vanguard. And at Vanguard, I became a chief information officer for those guys for a very long time.
Oh, wow.
We were tasked with, let me back up a little bit. I became really good at greenfield builds, a brand new hospital from the ground up.
Oh,
And
wow.
all the technology that went into that hospital. I was in the lead for 6 or 7 different bills. And this gentleman found me and came to me and he sent me a business plan. And I'm on vacation at the time. And it looks like that someone had carved out a business plan exactly for what my career had been up until that point. So there was no interview, there was nothing. He said, "You want the job, you have the job." So this was, guess, 2009, 2010. Now, what it was we were going to change healthcare. At that time, I think the Affordable Care Act was bringing in more money. People realized it was bringing in. Healthcare had to make a switch because they had never seen everyone having insurance walking through the door. So that caused a bottleneck. So he was smart enough to understand how he wanted to take advantage of it, but he didn't know how to wrap technology around what his business plan was. So he tasked me and 2 other people to wrap technology, wrap business, wrap marketing around this new concept. And they told us it was rainbows and unicorns, and we couldn't do it because it had never been done before. So what we did was we put together a hospital system in New Braunfels, Texas. It was called Resolute Health. Resolute Health was one of the first hospitals ever in the country to open up paperless. So you would walk into the hospital, you could use your driver's license or one of our cards that we were giving to you. You would put it in the registration and it would register you throughout. We had mesh wireless in the parking lot, so we knew if you were on the app that you were in our area, and we could actually talk to you and show you coupons as you passed by storefronts that laid up to the hospital. We kept all that information and put it in the database, and so when you came to the hospital, we knew that you like chamomile tea or
Okay. So you had a whole customer journey map
and
for
that's
them.
exactly what it was based on.
Wow.
Not the actual head in the bed experience. It was based on the customer.
Wow. I think that that's something I want to point out that's really important, right? Because you were creating like custom experiences for each of the customers or the patients, not just based off of them coming to see a doctor. It was based off of all of the habits that you had connected, right? So what do you buy from the grocery store? What do you get from
Exactly.
here? What I don't, because the technology that I'm typically using, like we can see like how many times have you been on this website and you have something in your shopping cart. So you could, like you said, send up coupons based on like previous information that you gathered. And you also can use that when they come into the hospital to have like more of a holistic view of them as a person and not just what they're saying. It's like, oh, this is the type of person that usually gets this, or maybe they're taking this and it might not be good for them. I don't know if that's how y'all use the information.
No, that was exactly how we use information. So we took I guess, a snapshot, if you will, the largest skilled nursing facility, the largest employer, as well as the school, to find out exactly what was going on in this region. And come to find out, it was obesity and it was asthma. So we put those clinics together just for that reason and started to fight things from a different perspective.
How did that visibility, how do you feel like that visibility helped to bring success to you guys as well as like the patients or the community that you were serving?
Well, the visibility, it was
Because typically you don't connect, right? You don't connect those things. You just treat whatever they say when you say that.
right. So it was, we put together a group of doctors in the region. It was over, for 150 doctors to get them to understand exactly what we were trying to do. The information that I was going to provide for you was not the traditional information where you can go and make your diagnosis, meaning that, okay, this woman keeps coming in for the same problem, and we don't know what's actually going on at home. We didn't know that she had a dog. Maybe she's allergic to the dog, those types of things.
Yeah.
So
The real variables, because again, I feel like when you go into the hospital or you go into the doctor, you tell them like, my knee hurt right now.
Right.
But it's not that I'm riding this bike, it maybe the chain slipping and they gotta work a little extra hard. You know what I'm saying? So it is good that you were able to bring like outside information inside like the hospital.
we took it a step further. We opened up urgent care clinics. Within those urgent care clinics we worked with Cisco. Cisco was
Okay.
one of my
Yeah.
partners.
Yeah.
And we put in Cisco cameras and machines within the schools, within the school district, as well as at the urgent care center. So
Oh
when
wow.
kid would get sick at school, he could go directly and see a doctor directly instead of the school nurse. The doctor could diagnose or give the nurse the strips to do a strip or whatever it may be. Send prescription out to the pharmacy where mom's on her way home. So I just made
Wow.
it extremely convenient.
So you streamline
Everything.
that process.
Everything.
Streamline it. Okay.
So this is actually what took me into my entrepreneurial venture.
So this was just was that an entrepreneurial venture?
No, this was actually someone else's money. This was his plan. So I putting all this together, and I'm learning a lot, and I'm seeing I'm seeing like, wow, we can do this and we can do that. And I also understood the pain points of other hospital systems because I worked with them in the past. So fast forward 2012, 2012, 2013, he sold the company, and the cherry on top was this particular hospital system. So he sells the company for $17 billion. Exactly. Like, well, that came up
The best plan for you?
right. And
Okay.
I was like, well, all of that thought process came off of my kitchen table. I'm not seeing.
That's what I'm saying. I'm like, he literally cherry picked you because he knew that you could create and implement the systems to build success.
Right. That's exactly what happened.
Yeah.
So, Tenet was the company that bought Vanguard, and Tenet was more of a head in the bed. They more traditional
Okay.
healthcare system.
school.
They didn't see the value in what was about to happen. And now when anyone walks into the hospital, that same workflow that I created way back then is the workflow for pretty much, I want to say 90% of the country. And didn't know it was going to happen. I had no idea it was going to happen. I said, you know what? I know what else is going on in the hospital. Let me see if I can open up some companies to kind of get the pain points that I know that are there, that I know that everyone is having a problem with, and see what happens. And that's exactly what I did.
Wow. I think that just pausing right here is so important to be one. I feel like it's two lessons, right? The lesson, or what lesson did you learn? I won't even say the lessons that I heard. I'll ask you, what lesson did you learn from that?
I learned a few lessons from that. I guess the biggest lesson that I learned is, instead of, I kind of sat back and mashed into the wall and kind of understood everything that was going on. So listening and not talking, where I could learn exactly how to make these moves when it was time to make my move. I think that was the biggest lesson I learned.
Okay.
One of the biggest lessons I learned. Also, that just because I was getting a paycheck and I was an executive and I had the titles and I had everything, that didn't equate to the type of money that I was capable of generating.
That's
After understanding my value and my worth within that or within that industry, that was a huge lesson for me because I had to step back. It really got to me.
When you told me what just happened, I ain't gonna lie. I was like, I wanted to say, I know that hurt.
It did.
That is so many different things because I see myself in what you're saying. I'm trying to come to the actualization of those things. Like, be like, my friend was being like the top earner, top worker, like, oh, I want X amount of dollars, and you feeling like good because it's like, oh, I'm CIO, I'm big boss, I'm making y'all work. And it's like, he just made 17, change the industry off of my brain. You get what I'm saying? And me basically having a passion, but fulfilling somebody else's dream shortchanged me out of what not what you could have got, but you get what I'm saying? Like, really understanding your true value. The time you may not have been thinking about, like, certain equities or partnerships or all of those things. It's just like, he came with an idea. I believe in the idea. I know how to do the job, and the money makes sense. So I'm going to do it.
I should have went with that.
Yes. But I mean, it's a learning lesson, and I feel like that was your pivot, right?
So after that, I was like, you know what? Well, the guy, his name is Charlie Martin Jr. He's like very influential in my career. And I mentor and I thank him for it.
Yeah.
He's one of the 1%ers in America.
Wow.
He's very wealthy, and he taught me a lot. So he allowed me to kind of, sit at his shoulder. And
That's valuable as well.
I told him I'm not trying to count your money. I want to know what's inside your head. This is not about money.
Yeah, because you can make it.
So he taught me a lot. And his portfolio is huge. I think he has like 20 or 30 companies. He's just retired. One of my colleagues that I started with, he's actually running the company now. And it all worked out. So we're all still free.
Yes. Once that happened, you kind of took a step back and you were like, I want to use my skills to fulfill my own passions and to fill in these gaps. So what did that start to look like?
So that took me to Roseville, California. And The chip that you guys have in your credit card, believe it or not, that patent was taken from a man from Roseville and by the government, and the government used it for military to, go base to base.
Mm.
Well, that chip can hold so much information, it's unbelievable. I mean, so much information. So what I was doing was introducing that chip to healthcare through equity deal with that same guy in Roseville.
Okay.
And where you could actually take that card or your credit card and put your medical information in. So when you walked in the hospital, you're walking into a new hospital or you're traveling, you could give them the card and they have all of your medical records right there.
Oh,
Made it to a point where it would translate it to any system. So it was nothing that would bar you from reading what was on the card. And he and I got that, and he sold that company, and I made a little money off of that.
I got a little change off of it.
And then I was like, you know what? I could start doing things by myself.
Okay. So it kind of started to build your confidence.
Exactly.
I want to pause on that. I'm putting a pin, but we coming back to it. I feel like I'm at a place, right? Like I do this for other people, but I also do have these conversations for me and where I am. And like I feel similarly at points where I'm trying to break myself away from feeling like I have to start with somebody else. Like I can start and like find people along the journey, but do you feel like when you had those two successes with other people that it made you feel like I could just do this on my own, or there are things that I want to do on my own and I don't have to bring anybody else in with me initially?
It gave me the confidence to do it, but in reality, you do need other people to help you.
Yeah. But that's also something that I'm learning too, where I think it's a catch-22. So when I say that, where I feel like for myself, I'm fearful to fail. So I want to just pull somebody with me to start, even if they're not the right person. To starting it on my own because I have the vision and the passion, but also recognizing that it really also requires finding the people with the vision and the passion that that share that vision and passion with you to go into different endeavors with.
So that was a great point. For me, it was this way. What Charlie taught me was this. He told me flat out, he said, I hired people that are smarter than me.
Mhm.
That's why I hired you.
He said, you know how to do it. Yeah. Yeah.
And doing this, if I'm opening up a business, I always look for people that are able to execute.
Mhm.
I let me be the dreamer. If you can execute on my dream, we're going to be fine.
Mm.
But what I don't want to do is put them in a situation that I was in. So I thought I offer equity.
That's more than fair.
Exactly.
That's
And that's
fair.
what it's about for me. It's fair business. So I think that's why a lot of people like to do business with me because I am fair. I'm very blunt and I'm very open. It's no nonsense.
Okay, so you had our California experience, right? And he sold that company. You got your equity.
Mhm.
So you learned your lesson from the last one. And now this time you said, I'm gonna do my own thing.
I started doing consulting. I opened a consulting company. I
Okay.
started consulting back to the guys that I worked for in Nashville. And then that took me everywhere. I mean, pretty much around the world
Wow.
with healthcare and implementing systems from Epic to
How do you find those consulting opportunities? Is it just going back to reconnect with?
my Rolodex.
Okay.
It's not, with the hospitals that I built, and they were all successful. And I actually saved a few that were going down the tubes
Okay.
as far as technology, brought them to the point where they didn't lose money on the project. Your name kind of sticks with those people.
Okay.
And if they hear that you're doing something, like, oh yeah, Roderick can do this, so why don't he call Roderick for it? And that's how it happened. I did no advertising.
So you just was like, hey y'all, I'm back in the game. I'm consulting. I can help y'all if y'all need help. And then people just started reaching out.
That's exactly.
Wow. So your reputation was really immaculate.
That took me to a joint venture with a gentleman by the name of Byron Webster. Ran into this really, really cool guy, really smart, brilliant man from Germany. He was a developer. And one of the biggest problems in the hospital is equipment walking out of the hospital, believe it or not. The hospital loses about $2 to $3 million worth of equipment every year.
That's how we started really talking.
Exactly.
That's how we started talking because we were, going back and forth, and that's what intrigued me when you brought up equipment leaving the hospital. And I was like,
Right. The medical equipment.
what are people taking from the hospital? And that's kind of how we got into that.
It's not the actual patients, it's actually the doctors.
Yes. And
Nurses.
that's what sparked my interest when you said this. So what happened? And then like, so it sounds like you knew the problem,
Yeah.
but you found somebody that could possibly be a solution.
Right. I did. And we put our idea out and Sebastian wrapped his coding around it and it worked. I mean, it really worked to the point to where we could tag a piece of equipment and we could get within 3 feet
Wow.
or less.
So it's kind of like find my medical device.
Or whatever you want.
Yeah, find. So I'm likening it to Find My iPhone because I feel like most people know Find My iPhone. If your phone is moving and it's not with you, you're able to track it. So you create a technology that could do that for medical devices.
Right. When we took it a step further, we actually added it to proximity badges where the nurses on the psych ward or nurses in wards that were, risk could hit it as a arrest button.
Wow.
Well, exactly what room she was in, exactly where she was at, instead of someone hitting the code and someone have to find out where she is. We know a real number, what floor, every.
Oh, wow.
So morphing this company from finding my devices to helping with duress and other, even in nursing homes, we use it to track patients.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow.
So it was really good. That company, I guess beginning of the year, we went our separate ways. And now I recently moved to Houston and I've opened up Tenzing Technology or Tenzing IT Solutions. And what we're doing is we're basing everything around AI.
Okay.
So right now, read in the Wall Street Journal about 2 months ago that $750 billion have been invested and artificial intelligence around the world, with China and Dubai leading the way.
Wow.
So everything is going to AI. I go to healthcare conferences and I see that instead of a nurse call you, hit the button and the nurse would come in their room. You talk to the nurse like you would talk to Siri now. Hey Siri, and then it's right beside your bed in a new hospital room. The hospital room of the future is crazy, and it's all based around AI.
You're right. So okay, one thing I want to go back to. How was the medical equipment leaving hospital?
Well, I mean,
And then how much money do you feel like you saved a hospital maybe on an annual basis?
Anywhere from $2 million to $3 million a year. You know what that device was. And you have to look at it this way. If the device is not there, the device can't be used to make money in procedures. So they will probably lose more than $2 million, $3 million. This is just the face value of it.
Of the device.
So there was a hard loss and a soft loss when that device would walk out of the hospital. So you would have doctors and hospitalists opening up their own practices, needing different pieces of equipment. You go up on the weekend, nobody is real relaxed on the weekend in the hospital.
Powerful.
And no one says anything to the doctor.
Absolutely. I believe that.
So
yeah.
you go just to put it in the trunk and check it out.
So it's like device management, essentially. Yeah.
Or you think of it this way. Think about how many thermometers in a hospital, electric thermometers, right? At least, let's say 500 at $100 a piece or more, $200 a piece. And then they just start to walk away.
Yeah, it's like, okay, we can't check nobody's temperature. What's going on? And then with your new company, bringing it into right now, and obviously I'm super interested because I am interested in technology and knowing that everything is moving towards AI. And it's awesome to hear as an entrepreneur that you have the forethought to pivot towards that way. So what are you guys doing with?
So right now is understanding how AI can be used within the healthcare facilities. I mean, what are the easy,
The low hanging fruit.
Right. So, and that's environmental services. Believe it or not, my room needs to be clean.
Really?
Yes. You can actually set up things to where AI can tell you that this room is going to be, or do analytics on how quickly you can turn a room on.
Okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
The cafeteria director, of course, how to mass produce trays get the food up and down the hospital. AI is coming in to take over that part. I don't want to say AI has been there for a while, but that some of the clinical decision-making systems for the physicians, they'll be AI-based. Instead of actually putting into a computer, you can actually just talk to like you would do.
Okay, so you can do this. Yeah, you can do.
Right. You can say, this is what's going on with this patient. What is your, and we'll give you a diagnosis back.
Wow.
But yeah, I mean, that's where it's going. That is
Wow.
exactly where it's going.
So what are you guys doing specifically in terms of that?
Trying to create apps in order to, I guess, say,
Yeah.
or,
Yeah.
you know, yeah, some of the pain points.
Yeah.
Or, yeah, because right now it's the new gold rush.
It is. It's the new gold rush.
If you create that one app,
It can go. I appreciate you for going back to see some of the previous conversations that I've had. Every guest, when I ask them, typically I ask at the end, I'm like, what's something you're excited about and something you're scared about? And they say AI. So it's like,
well, I don't think I'm scared of it.
I do think that if you aren't educated on, what's happening, of course, like jobs are going to be eliminated, right? But I think that there's also a lot of opportunity that is coming. And again, I think that's why I value what you are doing in terms of seeing this. Everybody's like, it's going to take away jobs. Well, one is streamlining processes and it's making things more efficient for us as consumers or us as employees as well, which is a good thing because it's taking away a lot of the manual labor, just rudimentary tasks that we do most often. With jobs being taken away, there are also jobs that are being added.
Exactly.
Those jobs are being added to the top of the food chain, though. If you are upskilling or investing your mind and time in AI, then you will have a job and you more than likely you'll have a better job. Or if you are learning it, you are more valuable at your job because you're not outdated. You're not a dinosaur that's like, oh, we only do it by pen and paper. It's like, oh no, I know this technology. I use this all the time at home, or I have a certification. And even just from an investment standpoint of money is being invested in AI. So
Big money.
big money.
Yeah.
Big money is being invested in AI. We have a lot because of AI, ChatGPT folks. You have the knowledge at your fingertips. Like you don't have to be super educated about a topic to start to learn or find a place to learn on where to invest or what's going on.
I say AI is the foundation. Actually, and I don't know if you guys, I'm dating myself. Ask Jeeves.
Yeah, I had Ask Jeeves. I mean, not for that long, but we had Ask
So
Jeeves.
you remember you would ask questions, and all these questions were actually kept in the database, and the answers were kept in the database every time you Google search. So that's what's teaching AI. You know, what's really going to make, I guess, move the needle, in my opinion, in technology, is when you can mix the knowledge of AI with robotics. That's when you're going to start seeing jobs leave. That's when you're going to start. I mean, we have cars that drive themselves, right?
I still ain't getting in no way, Mom.
So that movie Will Smith was in, that iRobot.
Yeah.
When that gets here, because it's coming, it will come. That's when you're going to see the needle move as far as what am I going to do for a job? Because that takes out all the McDonald's workers, like places that clean, housekeeping takes out a whole lot of people.
Yeah, and the thing about that, look, now I'm being double sided. The thing about that is we also, because of all of this technology we're immersed in, people prefer not to interact with humans anymore.
You know what?
You get what I'm saying? So when you started to say that, like, oh, it's a selfless driving car, and I'm like, I ain't getting in no car, no rubber. But it's some people that don't want the Uber driver to talk to them. Or they don't want to interact. They don't want to have the cleaning lady come over and you got to talk. They would rather a robot just clean up their house.
If I can clean it,
Yeah, no, that's a game changer.
that's what's coming.
So I can agree. But I just also think that it shouldn't just be like doom and gloom because I do think that there is opportunity, but it's only if you take it.
You know, it just brought up a great point that I guess I was fortunate enough to be in a generation where we had to talk to one another.
Yeah, me too.
Right now, my son's generation, which he grew up with computers his entire life, he really doesn't have to talk to anyone. Now, trying to do business now that later in life with some of these young men that are in the tech field, they grew up with computers all their lives, it's a little difficult because they have no social skill.
So let me say, you are right. You are absolutely right because I work with those people. And honestly, just for your first point, no matter what we operationalize, make more efficient, use AI for it, that's always when you're dealing with millions of dollars, you have to have human interactions.
Exactly.
You have to have social skills. You have to make somebody trust you. You have to build and gain trust. It don't matter that you can build something in 15 minutes that can't nobody else do. Even with the guy that came and found you, obviously he had already done his research, but I'm sure when y'all connected, it sold you
Right.
and it sold him.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? He couldn't just come through an email and be like, this is what I'm gonna do. Yeah, he had to sell you. So the social skills is definitely going to be something that is missing. And I work in a highly technical role, and I deal with people that only want to talk to screens and only want to deal with technology all the time. And I definitely will say social skills they leaving us a little bit.
Now I can see because of some of the apps and some of the things that are being created with AI, that now you no longer have to type. You can just dictate it, talk to it as you and I are talking now, and it will understand and be able to give back. But that's with no emotion. And having no emotion around your social skills is going to make you like, okay, I talk to people. Well, no, you don't talk to people. You talk to people.
Yeah.
So that's been I guess, a challenge in finding good people to hire. Because you could have all the skills in the world and I can't hire you if I can't sit you in front of a group of people and you explain what's going
I feel like I'm like you're like singing to the choir when we're talking, right? Because my role as a solution consultant is also a part of the selling process. But I am the technical resource in the selling process, right? So salesperson, they schmooze you, you see how, you know how it goes.
Yes.
Yeah, they schmooze you and then they bring me in, right? And it can be a confirming conversation. You as a stakeholder is a little bit different than most other stakeholders because your interest is typically vested in like the technology and like that technical aspect. But honestly, no matter what, when you are buying something, you're buying it based on emotion. Like obviously you basing it on facts, right?
Right.
We want the best product, but it's also like, how do you make me feel? So when you have somebody in my role that is like so technical, it could be 5 of y'all in the room and you're the only person that like them because they're saying everything that you want to hear. You get what I'm saying? And you're only buying based off of that, where everyone else is like, what's the ROI? What is my agent experience? What does this do for our CSAT scores? You know what I'm saying? So again, that social piece is what really bridges the gap in a lot of those conversations, because now I'm not just saying, well, this medical device has X amount and blah, blah, blah. I'm like, think about you as a patient. We all didn't had COVID. You know what I'm saying? That's something that's going to start to connect with them, or bringing in jokes, bringing in smiles, bringing in real world analogies versus just white and black. And I'm reading off a script or whatever, chat GPT.
Right. I can always
Yeah.
find out what the metrics are in
Yes.
front of.
Yeah.
And the technology could be great.
Mm-hmm.
If I cannot convey to my audience or to my customer what this technology is going to do for them.
Yes,
And
the
technology is useless.
value, because that's what selling is, right? It's value. You got a room of people, and you want facts about how fast you can administer it and how well it can do something. This person wants like money results. This person wants, this is how our nurses are going to operationalize or be more efficient. You have to tell a story. And that takes social skills. It's not just what you're reading or what you're building. And I see that all the time. And I always feel like for me, that's my differentiator, being able to connect with people, because a lot of people nowadays cannot because of everybody hiding behind screens and not having to actually think and act and be impromptu in the moment or find ways to connect.
Now you're right.
It's scary. It's scary.
It's coming.
What was one thing that you felt like was a differentiator for you in terms of building your career success?
That's a very good question. My approach was from a customer service approach, and that's how I looked at everything. If you came to me from a department with a problem, you were my customer. That could have been the emergency department, L&D, whatever that department had to come. And I treated that person like a customer as opposed to looking at the whole hospital. So this is causing you a problem. Let me see if I can find a way to fix it. But you're going to have to help me convince your team on using this product after we fix the problem. Because the hardest thing to do in the world is to get a group of nurses to change their workflow. I tell you, that is very.
Okay. So you have to have like internal champions.
Yes.
You have to have internal work.
Give them a understanding of what this would do for them and make their lives easier. So I think that's what I was bringing to the table as Chief Information Officer. I was able to get people to buy into the technology, and once the technology was bought into, we could see the metrics on the numbers on how the workflow increased or how profit increased because of the software. And that's how people became to, well, what did you do? How did you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Where other guys, they're just, I'm going to buy this piece of software, find some trainers, and you're going to train him. And if it works, it works. If it doesn't. I was in a position, as you said earlier, when I started, I was only 2. I didn't get an opportunity to mess up because of what I did.
Yeah.
Right. So I had to make sure that whatever I was presenting was right, because I knew if it was wrong, that made me I was very, very aware of that.
Mm-hmm.
Because like I said, 9 times out of 10, I remember going to a CIO conference in Chicago, and it was from all different verticals, every industry. And there was a room, it was a box-shaped table, and it was everyone, maybe 100 of us, right? I was the only Black guy. There was one woman. And I was looking around like, wow, this is really, it was unbelievable. And there was the CIO of Walgreens. See, I mean, these are some huge companies that were sitting in the room. It was just unbelievable. I knew exactly what I was up against. I guess from right up.
How did you find that industry? Right. Because I feel like for me, when I found my industry, it was just by happenstance. Not talk about anybody that's off camera, but we worked at Apple. And I just kind of like fell into technology because I was at Apple, and somebody that was more maybe aligned with technology left and went to a company, and I just started applying there. But like, how did you back then find that industry, or like the interest, came about and connected?
When I graduated from college, I started working at Meharry Medical College in the computer lab.
Okay. I did a computer lab job.
Worked in the computer lab at Meharry Medical College.
Yeah.
And I was making life easier for the medical students,
Mhm.
because a lot of these kids were all kids at the time, but they were not computer savvy, and explaining to these future doctors of the world that, this is going to be your job. You're going to have to use this at some point in time. I was fortunate enough to have some great mentors there as well, and they gave my name to a man. Just happened to be from Houston. His name was Anthony J. Sieber. Anthony J. Sieber is from the 5th Ward of Houston.
Okay. Fifth Ward.
This man was incredible, fearless entrepreneur. He taught me so much about how to maneuver in that business when you're the only one, one color. And he had a company called Access Health Systems, and I became the executive director for him. And he was the largest employer of Blacks back in the early 2000s. I think it was like 18,000 of us across the country. Yeah.
Wow.
We were based out of Nashville, and it was when the government went to Medicare to private industries. Remember, the government ran Medicaid and Medicare for the longest time. Then they started letting insurance companies run it on their own. So he was smart enough, or had the foresight to understand what was about to happen, and put all of these companies together. And that's how I got into healthcare. So I went from there into, built myself up with that company. Then start working at THS, and then the rest is pretty much it.
That's amazing.
Well, it started with a Black medical college.
Wow.
A Black owner, I guess.
He was like, "You're gonna be something."
Right.
Wow. Well, one, just like, that's amazing. Honestly, that's a story that, just being honest, I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
That's the story that I didn't even know existed. Like being at a Black medical college, and then just your first job being for a Black healthcare company. One of the other things that I will say about that is, I'm sure that helped to build your confidence while being the only one.
Yes, because I knew what Black excellence looked like, because I went there every day.
Yes.
Yeah, you couldn't. Yeah,
that's what I'm like, take from. I'm like, wow, like what a foundation, right? What a foundation of confidence to have to go and do what you did.
So I've had two earrings in my ear since I was a kid. We had a tragedy in the family, and I took an earring out of each kid's ear, and I've worn these earrings from when I grow, they grow, right?
Wow.
So my Harry, no one ever said anything. When I working with Access, no one said anything. But then I became, this was, the black out the two earrings.
Your signature.
And my work. So
Yeah.
so my work spoke for itself, and the black out the two earrings, and that's how I was known. And
Wow. That's the foundation of your
Mhm.
experience, right? It's that sounds like it helped to just minimize like imposter syndrome when you kind of had that bubble to build up and to be groomed and to have like resources that were meant to make you successful to build your confidence. So now when you went into these hospitals or these other healthcare systems, it wasn't nothing they could tell you.
No.
Yeah, I'm good. I know who I am. I know my value. I understand my worth.
I was able to challenge some of these men that didn't look like me across the
Because
table.
that's hard.
If you've never experienced it before.
It's hard if you haven't.
What was harder was challenging these black men across the table.
So I really feel like that's interesting, right? Like your journey of starting at a Black college and then going into a Black firm that was intentional about hiring Black people.
Mhm.
Something that you said was, if I could challenge my peers, essentially, if I could challenge other Black men at this table, that grew your confidence to a point where when you did get into these healthcare systems, you could challenge anybody, especially because you had grown your knowledge base. You've grown your knowledge base. You have been, I guess, giving the tools to be set up for success. So you had an environment that you started in where you trusted that everybody had your best interest, or, they wanted you to be successful versus, you get in other environments, you're a little more on guard and you had to be right all the time.
Yeah, that environment, what a lot of these gentlemen that came from, corporate America, where they were the only black person in the room, to be groomed by men that only had what I call one shot at making a mistake, to be in a room with a bunch of guys that kind of came from that era and understood what I was about to go journey into. It was incredible. It was truly incredible because, like I said, they would ask, well, what do you think? You got the best. Oh, no. Tell us what you think. Just make me tell them what, no, you sit in here and you listen to this. They really took me under the wing. I guess you were right, gave me the confidence to where I can.
Because it's the total opposite. I feel like for most people that are going to be the only, right?
Mhm.
Going into those environments, you depending on like what experience you had before, you do the total opposite. You go in, you don't ask questions, you don't want to ruffle feathers, you don't want to speak up. You want to be, you get what I'm saying, palatable and agreeable, even for me as a woman, of like, I want to tame down my hair or my look or my, just different things just based off of you don't want to draw attention to yourself. Whereas you had already been put in an environment with people that look like you that said, no, we want you to use your voice. We want to know what you think. We want you to give us your perspective.
They taught me how to use my voice. They taught me how to help my delivery on if I'm challenging someone when it's wrong. They taught me how to not make a person feel bad because you were challenging them. I mean, they taught me so much on how to actually talk to a person across the table.
Assertive, because I think that that's what the lines that you have to play in between, right? Between being assertive and aggressive.
They taught me how to pick out the politics and certain answers or see if, you know what, that sounds like a hidden agenda. Stay back from that. I mean, they really, really, really taught me a lot.
And you said you retrospectively, you kind of already knew your CEO.
Oh, yes, yes, yes. When I was younger, playing basketball for the church that I went to, I went to a conference that he held or dinner that he had held. And he and I was talking outside of dinner, and he said he was going to send me a book. And so he took my address down. And this is before college. He took my address down, and fast forward, I'm actually working for this man, but I don't know who he is at this point. I just know he owns the company. He calls me into his office one day, and he said, "You don't remember me, do you?" And I said, "No, sir." And I'm thinking that I'm in trouble or something. I'm like, "What's going on?" So he pulls out a book, And he opens the book, and my address that he wrote down that night was in the book. He was like, I was supposed to send you a book to your house. And
Wow.
but here's the book.
Oh my God.
So from that point, I knew that I was in the place that I was.
Oh yeah, that was divine.
Right.
That was divine.
God rest his soul. He died a couple of years ago, and I'm just glad that I'm in this city now. I understand where he got his
Yes.
oxy from.
Yes,
This
absolutely.
place is Black excellence.
Yes.
And so I love you.
Personified. It is. And I mean, you even just mentioning that, right? Makes so much sense about the way that he was and the way that he
Mhm.
thought and the confidence that he had.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Yes. You can see it.
Right.
Yeah, it's different. It's totally different. And just even just hearing the ways that all of the people around you like helped you to grow and kind of like groomed you into somebody who didn't let imposter syndrome even be a thought because you had already been coached up and you had your mentors and you had people in the industry that you could call on that you had worked with or and they could vouch for you.
And most importantly, I had a skill set that everyone wanted to use.
Mm.
So if you marry that with a great skill set, yeah, you could go.
Yeah, for sure. Because confidence can take you far. Confidence can hold you back or it can take you really far. So, like you said, matching that with like an actual skill set, you was unstoppable. Because there are a lot of people that have either or, and confidence can really take you further than skill, to be honest.
I agree with you, but then when it's time to perform, you still have to perform.
You do still have to perform, but my thought on that and why I'm saying that is like there are people that are skilled, but they don't want to go for more because they don't have confidence. Where there are people who are confident, and I won't say what one of my mentors tell me to have the audacity of certain people.
Mhm.
You know what I'm saying? And just having that confidence of like going, reaching for the stars. And obviously, like sometimes you do fail, but you still have gotten far just based off the fact that you're like, I can do this, I can achieve it, I can learn it if I want to. Whereas there are some people that have the skills and they don't believe. And it's like you limit yourself where you stay in the same role for 20 years. You stay in the same space.
But you just brought up a great point. When you do start a business, you are going to fail at something, but don't let that discourage you.
Mhm.
A lot of people that I know that look like me or people of color, they start their business and they fall or there's a bump or there's tariffs or something that
Mhm.
kind of brings them down. Keep getting up.
Mhm.
Just gotta keep going. It will come. I
Oh,
promise you it will come.
the question that I wanted to ask you about, I guess, just business or how important is it right to have education around business funding like as somebody who's a serial entrepreneur, right? Because a lot of people, or I'm gonna just speak for myself, like prior belief that I had was like you have to have your own money to start or you have to have X amount of capital or you can't start a business if you don't have this and that. Like what is your mind frame around it, like then, maybe when you started versus now?
Okay, when I started, I was, I guess, naive enough to think that I could do it. Just, I'm gonna start a business, I'm gonna do it.
Yeah.
And I don't care if money's there or not. I'm there.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or by not having that understanding of, I guess, funding and things
Mhm.
like that, that made me work a little harder
Okay.
or bootstrap,
Mhm.
because I know that guys were out there getting money to opening their businesses, and these are my competitors, but I have to be better than them because I have less dollars or less. So I guess educating yourself on what's out there before you start your business is really, really important because the money you can receive money. There's grants, there's funds, there's small business loans, but how successful are you going to operate your business down the road? Because you can get a lump sum of money, right? And that money is not going to make your business grow. You're going to have to make your business grow with your product, the way that you present yourself, and so on and so forth. Because just because you have money don't mean you're going to succeed. So educating yourself around, I guess, the different programs that you could like minority business, small business loans for women. I mean, disadvantage, they even have, I think, LGBTQ loans and certifications where you can get certain percentages from government contracts. I mean, there's a lot of money out there that you can find, but just kind of putting yourself in the right niche is to find that money is what's.
As we're speaking right now, right? You started one of your businesses, you got patent products and different things. Those types of industries you can still get maybe grant funding, or are those more of like business?
'Cause you can get grants and business loans,
Okay.
either or. I mean,
Mhm.
grant is going to be a lot harder. Well, now, again, with AI, you can just write your own grant. It's crazy. But back then, you couldn't do that. I mean, you have to find a grant writer and pay this person to do this. So it's good to have a little money to start,
Mhm.
but I don't think you just need, depending on what you're trying to do. I mean, what I was doing was selling my services.
Yeah.
So my services,
But that's what I also was gonna ask. Like, is that something like when you started? Like, how did you start? You started.
selling my skill set.
Mhm.
So that was not a, I didn't have to pay for it.
Yeah. So you just decided this is my rate. This is what I'm gonna package. This is what I see. And then as the buzz came, the business started to find you, and then you just kind of went from there.
195 an hour at 5 hour blocks.
Okay.
I'm gonna make it that easy for
Mhm.
you. So if you pay for a block, that's 5 hours, and that's guaranteeing me a certain amount of money. So what I was trying to do is get as many blocks as I could, take some like it's 80% of that, put it back into the operating.
Okay.
That's what I was doing. Trying to find a storefront, trying to find an office or
Okay.
to build a business.
Okay.
Business cards, marketing, so on and so forth. That's how it worked.
Yeah.
But
And I'm asking you
as
selfishly.
selling a product, I think that's a little different.
Yeah, I definitely agree that selling a product is different. And I was really asking for myself, right? Because I was asking for myself, because again, I think that that was something that maybe we talked about off camera, is just being able to take advantage of the skills that I already have, right? The skills that I've already invested in for years because I've been working for other companies. So it's how can I take this knowledge and use it to my advantage and build a business
Right.
based around that? So that's why I was asking you, what do you think about starting it up? Or do you need money to start it up? Or do you need funding? Or, just like, what does that look like in terms of trying to?
I mean, you just hit the nail on the head when you're selling them. If you're selling your skill set,
Mhm.
I don't think you need as much money.
Mhm.
Now, having that confidence and having
That's confident.
like I said, marrying that with the skill set,
Yeah.
that could be,
Yeah.
that's going to make you some money.
Okay.
Now, once you start making money, for
What's
me,
the new problem?
yeah, for me, industries, they go up and down. They go up and down, and you could have belly up. So what I've learned over the years is watching these businesses from the housing industry to the tech industry to go up and down is that you should diversify your money that you make, your products, put them in things that outside of what your skill set is. Now you can still apply the same business concept to what you're doing, but it may not be the lane that feel comfortable in.
I know you have a bunch of different ventures. So, what's an example of a time where you decided when you got to the point of I'm going to diversify? And like, what was that? How did that look?
Learning from other industries. But when we had our recession, I saw industries go down the tubes. I mean, down the tubes. Now with healthcare, if you have a recession or a depression, your industry goes up. So I'm in an industry that's making a lot of money,
Mhm.
but all the other industries around me are falling, and they didn't diversify their profits at all. They just put it all back into whatever they were doing. And now they were left with nothing. So I said, when I get to a point where I can start, put things in other areas as opposed to just putting it back into technology or putting it back into whatever I was doing, consulting,
Mhm.
I was going to do that. And it ended up right now, it's a construction supply business. I'm selling coating and fire extinguishers. I mean, something that has nothing to do with technology at all,
Yeah.
but something that everyone needs.
Everybody needs.
Exactly. Things like that. Finding that one product that's outside of your comfort zone that you may use yourself. You could put some money in and continue to add to whatever you're doing. I think is important for our people.
Absolutely.
I think we seem to stick to one thing and not put our money in other places. Whatever's successful.
We scared. I feel like we scared. And one thing that I'm learning, right, is entrepreneurship does not always have to be sexy. That is what I'm learning, right? So I'm sitting here as I'm going through this part of my journey, and I'm thinking about what am I gonna do? What I'm gonna do? And I had to recognize, one, you don't have to be the face of everything that you are a part of or that your business is. And also, you don't always have to be selling a product to people. Everything that you do does not have to be sexy. It doesn't have to be sexy. So when you said that, it's like, I have a business selling fire extinguishers. That ain't sexy, but this is very profitable. This is very smart. And it's a way to diversify your skill set. And some of that stuff, honestly, it's like lower risk. We don't know who make our fire extinguishers or who makes certain things, like they're faceless and they're nameless, but they're necessities. And I think that's something that I started to recognize as well, or even just that I don't always have to try to sell or market to people. I want to do some contracts with some other businesses or the federal government or other things where it's not so I gotta post 5 times a day so you can buy this one shirt for $20.
Right.
It don't have to be sexy. I could meet somebody and say, "Yeah, I invest in fire extinguishers," and yeah, now it's a interesting conversation. I'm doing something that you never really heard of.
My thing is, I was on the roof of my first. I've only been here 9 months. Never Houston for 9 months. I was on the roof of my building, and I was just looking across the city. I counted maybe 15 cranes. So if I see 15 cranes, that's a lot of construction going.
Oh yeah,
A
absolutely.
lot of construction.
It's a lot of construction.
And then when you get to the ground level, see what's happening on the
So
ground.
much.
So construction supply company sounds like they gonna always need supplies.
Absolutely.
So that was one of the reasons we started that.
Really?
Yes.
Wow. Wow. Now that's cool to know.
Never been in construction in my life, ever. I understand business. Understand that if you have a demand and I have the product, or I have to get access to the product, I can sell you the product.
That brings us back to Jason White. We were in that Jason White session, and when he talked about the masks, and he talked about selling masks to the federal government before COVID, and it's like masks and gloves. Masks and gloves, that's not something that's extremely sexy, or you might have known hospitals always need gloves. They always need masks. They always need them. And you got into that industry, and then kaboom, you said you're looking at cranes and saying, you know what? This is not going away. This is going to continue to evolve. So that's definitely something to just like put on the forefront of the mind. But I definitely have been recognizing in this season, like, one, I want to um monetize my own gifts, i.e. this, but also like the skills that I have. Like, I don't want to commit more time to a company. I want to use the time I already gave them to make me my own money. I'm trying to find like say get out of corporate plan. You like based off of, myself, what I have internally, and then again, like finding things that people need. And it might not always be sexy. I had to recognize that though. Making money ain't always gonna be sexy.
There's a business that I wish that I was in. I'm still trying to figure out how to get into it. In order to make concrete, you need a main product, which is sand. If I could find some sand, think about when we just drive home, look at all the different roads that are being fixed and things that are going up, all these higher, everything is concrete, everything.
It's so funny because I can't remember if I met someone or if I watched something about somebody talking about concrete, because I think it's like made different now. It's not as like durable, or it's not as hard to make or whatever as it was in the past. And they either sell it or like in that industry, and they said the industry is like crazy. Like they can't sell it fast enough because there's so much construction happening everywhere. But yeah, just so much information. Thank you so much for all of the information
Thank you for having me.
that you have shared. This is not be our last conversation. Thank you so much, Mr. Roderick, for coming on today and just inspiring us and just giving us so much information that we can take and we can use to just diversify ourselves and, our outlook on life.
But thank you for pleasure.
I appreciate you. All righty. All right, y'all. See y'all next time.